to start off by saying congratulations on this release. I know it's coming up fast now,
Yeah.
but what has that been like for you kind of building up to it and now getting to do things like this where you promote it, but also get to hear people's reactions to it as well?
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't wait. I get to see it tomorrow on the big screen. We had a cast screening, so I have seen it on a big screen before, but I think tomorrow, like I'm actually flying to Peoria, Illinois, which is where the guy that plays Stu, Zach Shear, is from, and it's his hometown, and they found out about the movie, and so the local press went crazy, and so we have like 200 plus people coming to a screening at the theater tomorrow night, and he's like, "You got to come with me, man," and I was like, "I'm there. That sounds amazing." So I'm flying to Illinois tonight to watch the movie tomorrow with Zach and all his hometown, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, just to see like the Lionsgate logo pop up before the movie starts, like it's gonna be waterworks for me. Um, but yeah, it is. It's one of those things, like we're at that point where I'm incredibly excited and also incredibly nervous. Reviews started to come out yesterday, and so it's just a roller coaster of emotions because you get a good one and you're like, "That's right," and then you get a bad one and you're like, "You don't know," and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, but obviously you're getting reviews from this movie, some good, some bad, as you
Mhm.
said. But what was the most fulfilling moment for you when either creating this or being on set?
Yeah. Uh so many moments. The one that really sticks out to me is there's a scene in the movie where Polly has this sort of heart to heart with Molly about pride. And that was I love the way that that scene looks. Like both of them look amazing, and the house was lit so beautifully. And so it's just this kind of like very sweet scene between two best friends that you don't get to see in a lot of movies. And but the thing that made it most special is that Nico's husband Zeke actually wrote that scene. So I had written this whole scene about like putting foolish pride aside, and that's sort of what Polly has learned in this whole thing. But Zeke brought this whole other dynamic to it that was like much more personal, and I just loved that scene so much. And so that was probably the night that I was just like, man, we have something really special here because it's this fun goofball comedy, but there's so much heart, and these actors are taking the time to go and put that much heart into it, like beyond just showing up and reading their lines and doing their thing. They're contributing to the writing of it and stuff like that, and that felt very special.
Definitely, and as you said, it does cover a lot of topics, one being pride. But what was it specifically that drew you to want to take on this project? Because personally, I love how relatable it is and the fact that you can be open about maybe not fitting in or going back to a different life that you used to have.
Yeah, I think that what I love about it is the writer Todd, one of the writers, Todd Friedman. This is sort of like a very personal story. Like he was our writer producer, and I've gotten to work on now like 4 or 5 films with him. But he is also a really like successful attorney, and so he sort of is Molly in the fact that like he created this whole career and was incredibly successful, but always wanted to make movies, and now he's getting to do that. So that felt very special. And then the second thing for me is that like my wife and I are, we come from completely different backgrounds. Our stories are completely different. And whereas I grew up knowing, like when I was a little kid, I wanted to become an actor, and then I fell in love with filmmaking, but it was always that trajectory. And when I was born, I was 40. I'm like a very old soul. Like childhood to me was like, well, all right, whatever. But when I grow up, and so I was very focused in that realm. My wife is very much like Molly in the fact that like she didn't know what she wanted to do, and very much like Polly in the fact that like my wife's also Filipino like Nico is, and so that taking that sort of like those familial expectations that come from like a Filipino household and stuff like that. That was kind of a direct translation. And so my wife has had to figure out who she is. And so there's a lot of like my wife and Molly too. I mean, a lot of like stories directly lifted and stuff like that. And so in those realms, that idea of like it's never too late to figure out who the heck you are in your life really resonated with me.
Definitely, and I mean, the actors did an amazing job in this. I'm wondering for you, was there specific key components to bringing these characters to life that you needed to be in it, that you kind of built with the actors?
Yeah. Um, Molly is she's the most important, and finding somebody like Britt, and it was funny because, my producing partner Warner Davis and I, we would go back and forth because we both have like very different responsibilities. I have this responsibility creatively to sort of bring the movie to life, but he has a responsibility to actually go and make this movie and sell it. And so when you start talking in terms of like who are we bringing in, things like who has value and all these sort of things that are the business of making movies, and they're just as important, but what I kept trying to hit him with was like, it is so important that we find the right Molly, because if it's not the right actor, Molly has to sort of represent the audience, and she has to be grounded in a way that everyone else around her can be big and loud and funny and slapsticky, but she needs to be this sort of like very like Ryan Reynoldsy, like jabbing you with like needle pricks of humor, so that the movie doesn't go too hammy. And Britt was that person. She just, her delivery, her timing, her charisma on camera and stuff like that just brought Molly to life.
Definitely. And I mean, have you taken anything from this that you would tell your younger self? Because I know you said you were born and you were like 40.
Yeah.
Talk more about that.
Well, I think also, I think it's okay. I think what it taught me is it's okay to go and have fun. And also it it really like it really taught me that like it's never too late in this business. And even in like I'm seeing in like reviews and stuff like that, is that it is so easy, even if you're like a nobody like me, to get pigeonholed, because up till now I've done scary movies or horror comedies, and it's so easy to be like, oh, he's the horror guy, he does these are the movies that he does. What business does he have doing this movie? And so, yeah, again, it's just like it's taking that exact same lesson from Molly and being like, it's never too late to change. It's never too late to evolve. It's never too late to try new things. And for me, comedy was always in my heart. I knew that, but now the world has to deal with it too.
I mean, that's fair enough. Have you found that you prefer horror over comedy, or is it a mix of both? Like you
No,
love all of them?
comedy over horror in the realm, because I
Okay.
just feel more confident as a filmmaker. Like I when I'm on set and we're doing scenes and stuff like that, I fall into comedy much easier. It's easier for me to come up with ideas. Horror is really challenging in like, building tension and stuff like that. And having now worked with directors like on the editing side who are really good horror directors, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not good at that. And so, I think that like my trajectory will fare. Not to say that if an amazing horror or thriller movie comes up, I'm not going to jump on it, because the directors that I look at are that I love are directors that cross genres. I love Steven Soderbergh. I love Richard Donner. To me, is like, that's a guy that like, he made Superman and Conspiracy Theory, but he made like, he was so good. This sort of like journeyman director that just knew how to tell stories. And so, that those Ron Howard is the same way for me. And so it's like, I'm just gonna, if it's a great story, I just want to try to tell it.
Yeah, definitely. And my last question for you, if you could describe this experience and this film as a whole in 3 words, what would they be?
Completely controlled chaos.
Okay, you came up with that really fast.
Yep, yep. That's what it was like making Molly Singer. Completely controlled chaos.
Okay, fair enough. Well, congratulations on everything again, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure, Gracie.